All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into something pretty fascinating.
Okay.
Human behavior, how to read people,
Oh,
how to
yeah.
understand like what's going on underneath the surface with people,
Right.
like we all present a certain way. But wouldn't it be amazing if we could actually see through that and understand the motivations and all that?
Like X-ray vision?
Yeah. And that's what we're going to kind of explore today.
Yeah.
We've got some incredible sources lined up, and
That's
they get into some fascinating stuff
okay.
like microexpressions
Right.
and even things like how some people use symptoms to their advantage. I know. Crazy.
Yeah, weaponizing vulnerability.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
So are you ready to kind of unlock these secrets of human behavior?
Let's do it.
Let's dive in.
Okay, so one of the core concepts that we need to start with is what's called the law of role playing.
Okay.
And that basically states that everybody is playing a role in life, like we are all actors.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Right. So think about it. We adjust our behavior depending on who we're interacting with.
Right.
We act differently around our boss
Oh.
than we do our friends or family or romantic partner.
Yeah.
It's essential for smooth social functioning.
Yeah, it's like we're all just kind of putting on these different masks.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're constantly changing characters. And, Schopenhauer, the philosopher,
Okay.
he had this great analogy about the moon always showing the same face.
Okay.
But the moon has a hidden side,
Right.
and we all do as well.
So how do we start to kind of see that hidden side of people?
It starts with observation, becoming a master observer.
Okay.
And one of the key things that the sources kind of suggest is to master one specific tell.
Okay.
So for example, let's take eyebrow movements. Like if you see someone raise their eyebrows slightly,
Okay.
could indicate skepticism, even if they're verbally agreeing with you.
Oh, interesting. So it's about picking up on those inconsistencies
Exactly.
between words and their body language.
And then you can gradually add more tells, like lip tension can signal disagreement or disapproval. Like someone might purse their lips a little bit,
Okay.
when they hear something they don't like,
That's interesting.
even if they don't say anything.
Right. It's like our body is betraying us even when we're trying to hide it.
Totally, yeah. And another key to becoming a master observer is establishing a baseline. Really getting to know someone's normal demeanor so you can spot deviations.
Okay.
Like, is someone who's usually quiet suddenly becoming very talkative?
Right. Right.
Is someone usually relaxed and displaying signs of tension or anxiety?
So it's about noticing those subtle shifts from the norm.
Yeah.
What about observing people in different settings,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
like at work versus out with friends?
You might notice someone who's really kind of reserved at work, but then they're with their friends and they're very expressive.
Right.
So by seeing them in different contexts, you get a better picture.
It's almost like a more well-rounded view of their personality.
Yeah, and one of the things that the sources also suggest
Okay.
is observe yourself.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Like, how do you non-verbally communicate? Do you fidget when you're nervous?
I do.
Do you cross your arms
Yeah.
when you're feeling defensive? So
Right.
that can actually give you clues.
Okay, so we're not just observing others, we're also turning inward and
Right.
paying attention to ourselves.
And you can apply those same things you notice about other people to yourself.
I like that. Okay, so let's get into some specifics, like what are some key things that we should be looking for?
Right. Well, the sources break it down into three main categories:
Okay.
dislike-like, dominant submission, and deception.
Okay.
So let's start with dislike-like.
Okay.
And I think we can dive into some subtle signs of dislike.
Yeah. What should we be looking for?
Well, there are some obvious signs, right? Like a furrowed brow or a tight jaw or even someone turning their body away from you.
Right.
But there are also some more subtle cues, like a slight narrowing of the eyes or
Close.
tightening of the lips.
And are those microexpressions?
That's exactly what those are. They're those fleeting flashes of emotion that
Yep.
last, less than a second.
Wow.
But they can reveal a lot.
Yeah.
Like you might catch a momentary glare or a flash of disgust when they hear something they don't like.
It's like you get a brief glimpse behind the mask.
Exactly.
Okay, now what about mixed signals?
Mixed signals.
That was something that our sources talked about.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Yeah, so that's when someone says something positive,
Okay.
but their body language tells a different story.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh, that's a great idea.
Right.
But then they're shaking their head.
Right. Like you can just tell that
Right.
that it's not genuine.
Yeah. Or, when someone gives you like insincere praise
Oh, yeah.
and it just feels off
Yeah, totally.
because the nonverbals don't match
Right, right.
the verbal.
Okay, so we've talked about signs of dislike.
Yes.
What about genuine liking? Are those easier to spot?
Yeah, you would think so, but
Yeah.
it's not always the case. Sometimes people maintain kind of a cool facade.
Right, especially like in professional settings or something.
Exactly. But some things to look for: genuine smiles,
Okay.
the kind that reach the eyes.
Uh-huh.
So the corners of the eyes crinkle up, and
Right.
you get those crow's feet.
Yeah, it's like you can feel the smile in their eyes, not just on their lips.
Exactly.
Right.
And relaxed facial muscles,
Ah.
particularly around the forehead and the mouth.
Mm.
Their lips might appear fuller, and their eyes will widen slightly,
Uh-huh.
like they're taking you in.
Interesting. And what about the voice? Does that play a role too?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
If someone's genuinely interested, their voice will tend to have a higher pitch and a more varied tone,
Mm.
and they might even speak a little bit faster,
Okay.
indicate enthusiasm and engagement.
So it's not just what they're saying, but how they're saying it.
Exactly.
Okay, now I know you mentioned synchrony cues earlier.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on those?
Yeah, synchrony is fascinating.
Okay.
That's when people unconsciously mirror each other's body language.
Okay.
So you might lean in when someone else leans in,
Right?
or you cross your legs when they do,
Uh-huh.
and it's a subconscious sign of connection and rapport.
So it's like your bodies are speaking the same language
Exactly.
without you even realizing it.
Yes.
So I guess one of the key takeaways from this whole like dislike cues is it also gives you insight into your own
Yes.
attempts to influence or even seduce people.
Yes.
So you can kind of notice, how are people responding to you?
Yeah, are they leaning in?
Are they mirroring you? Are they
Mirroring your movements?
Yeah. Okay, this is good stuff.
It's a good stuff.
All right, let's move on to dominant submission.
Okay.
What can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so this category is all about, understanding power dynamics and how people kind of assert themselves.
Okay.
And it can be surprisingly subtle, like chronically showing up late can actually be a dominance cue.
Really? I've always just thought it was rude.
Well, it can be,
Okay.
but it can also be a subtle way of saying that my time is more valuable than yours.
Wow, I never thought of it like that.
Right.
What are some other signs of dominance when it comes to conversations?
Yeah, well, pay attention to who talks more
Oh,
and interrupts more frequently.
okay.
Dominant individuals, they often take control of the conversation.
Right.
Also look for piercing eye contact
Mhm.
and a lower, more authoritative tone of voice.
So they're subtly trying to intimidate
Yeah.
or overpower the other person.
It can be, yeah. And here's another interesting one, the tight smile.
The tight smile, what's that?
Yeah, have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Where someone, it's like their smile,
I think so.
almost like a grimace disguised as a smile. Yeah. And it usually comes in a response to something someone has said.
Right.
And it's sort of like it's a way of communicating
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
irony or contempt.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's cute,
Right.
but in a way that's like belittling.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so that's the tight smile.
Yeah. And here's a real bombshell from the sources.
Okay.
Some people will actually use symptoms as a manipulative tactic.
Symptoms, you mean like getting sick?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
one partner might suddenly, develop headaches
Mm.
or claim to be feeling ill or even engage in like negative behaviors,
Okay.
drinking excessively or something.
Wow, that's pretty intense.
Yeah. And what this does is it forces the other person to kind of cater to them.
Right, play by their rules.
Exactly.
Like they're weaponizing their
Right,
vulnerability.
exactly.
Okay.
So it's all about understanding
Yeah,
those power dynamics.
this is fascinating, all right.
And gauging someone's confidence level?
We've covered dislike, dominant submission.
Yes.
Now for the grand finale, deception.
Deception.
I am ready to learn how to spot a liar, so give me the telltale sign.
Yeah, well, one of the most common signs is when someone becomes overly animated, almost too eager to please.
Oh.
Like they're laying it on thick.
Right, it's like they're trying too hard to be likable.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
They might smile excessively
okay.
or shower you with compliments or try to be extra entertaining.
It's like they're trying to distract you from something.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
And similarly, if someone is trying to hide something,
okay.
they might become overly defensive or righteous or even talkative.
Hmm.
They'll vehemently deny any wrongdoing and try to kind of drown you out.
It's like they're creating a smokescreen with their words.
Precisely. Yeah. And here's another interesting thing.
Okay,
Deceivers will often focus attention on one area of their body
okay.
to kind of distract you from other areas.
So like they might be flashing a big smile, but their eyes are tense or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting.
And the source suggests a brilliant tactic when dealing with suspected deceivers.
Okay, tell me.
Don't confront them immediately.
Okay.
Encourage them to keep talking. The more they talk,
Right.
the more likely they are to slip up.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you're setting a trap.
You lure them into a false sense of security,
Exactly.
and then bam, you hit them with a question.
Yeah, exactly. Pay close attention to their reaction
Hmm.
at that moment.
Okay.
You might see a freeze response
Yeah.
as they process the question,
Okay.
and then they try to quickly mask their anxiety.
Interesting.
Another powerful tool is to pay attention to how they emphasize their words
Hmm?
through nonverbal cues.
Okay.
So like a raised voice or forceful hand gestures.
Right.
They might do that when they're trying to convince you of something,
Right.
but when you're truly passionate about something,
Uh-huh.
you naturally use those cues. But deceivers often struggle to replicate that.
So it's like their body language is betraying them.
Exactly.
No.
And remember that deception exists on a spectrum.
Right, right.
You know, we have those white lies
Of course.
that we all tell sometimes.
Yeah.
Those you can ignore, but when the stakes are higher,
Right.
you need to be more vigilant.
It's all about context.
Yeah.
This is great. I feel like I am learning so much.
It's fascinating stuff.
Okay, so we've talked about observing others,
Yes.
but, we're all playing the game.
Right.
So how do we become masters of impression management ourselves?
Right. So that's a great point. We've talked about reading others,
Right.
but now it's about us. How
Yeah.
do we present ourselves? How do we...
Exactly. And I love how the source is, it's not about being fake or manipulative.
Yeah.
It's about just understanding the rules of the game and playing skillfully.
Right. It's consciously shaping how others perceive us,
Right.
and in a way that allows us to achieve our goals.
Okay, give me the goods. How do I do that?
Right. Well, first and foremost, master your nonverbal cues.
Okay.
People make judgments based on our body language.
Yeah.
So, eye contact, good posture, a genuine smile,
It goes a long way.
all of that stuff. Yeah.
What else?
And don't underestimate the power of mirroring.
Okay.
Subtly matching someone's body language
Yeah.
can create a connection.
It's like you're speaking their language.
Yeah.
What else can we do?
The sources suggest becoming a method actor.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so train yourself to display the appropriate emotions for
Wow.
different situations.
Okay.
So you need to project confidence.
Right.
Think about a time that you felt very self-assured.
Right.
Visualize that.
Uh-huh.
Recall the feeling and let it inform your body language,
Yeah.
facial expressions.
Okay.
But also know how to dial it back.
Right, so you don't want to overdo it?
Right.
All right. What else?
Adaptability is key.
Okay.
You need to adjust to different audiences.
Yeah.
So what works with your friends might not fly with your boss.
Right. It's all about reading the room
Yeah,
and tailoring your approach.
exactly.
Okay, good. What about first impressions? Anything on that?
Yeah, pay extra attention to those initial encounters.
Okay.
It's often best to present a more neutral front
Okay.
with a relaxed smile,
Okay.
direct eye contact,
Okay.
create warmth and trustworthiness.
You don't want to come on too strong?
Right.
Okay, now I'm intrigued by this idea of dramatic effects.
Yes. Yeah, this is about strategic absence
Okay.
and unpredictability.
Okay.
You don't always have to be available.
Hmm.
Sometimes a little mystery can go a long way.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder, as they say.
Exactly. And it's not just physical absence, it's also withholding information strategically.
Okay, I like that.
Don't reveal everything about yourself right away.
Yeah.
Let people wonder a little bit.
Leave them wanting more.
Exactly.
Okay, what about this projecting saintly qualities? Tell me about that.
Well, people are drawn to those who appear virtuous and generous. So supporting good causes, showcasing humility, even confessing to, a few minor weaknesses
Right.
can make you more relatable and trustworthy.
It's like creating a halo effect around yourself.
Exactly. And if you want to project an aura of success,
Right.
even before you've achieved great things,
Yeah.
subtly incorporate some of those dominance cues.
Okay.
Carry yourself with confidence, make decisive choices, believe in your destiny.
It's like manifesting your own success
Yeah,
through your behavior.
exactly.
This is great stuff. I feel like I am starting to see the world
It's a new lens.
through a whole new lens.
It is.
I'm noticing things I never noticed before.
Yeah, it's like that Sherlock Holmes quote, You see, but you do not observe.
That's good.
It's all about training yourself to really look for those little things.
Right.
The details that reveal so much about human nature.
Amazing. Thank you so much for all of these incredible insights.
You're welcome.
This has been a fantastic deep dive.
Yeah, it really is like becoming a detective of human nature.
I love that analogy.
Hmm.
And, as we've been unpacking all these nonverbal cues, it makes me think like context is so important.
Absolutely.
We can't just isolate one single gesture and assume we've cracked the code, right?
Right, yeah. A raised eyebrow could mean skepticism or surprise or even flirtation.
Right.
It all
It
depends
all depends on the situation.
on the situation. And also, our sources talk a lot about cultural background, too.
Yeah, and it makes me think about how easy it is to misinterpret things, especially nowadays with social media,
Right.
where everything's so quick and surface level.
Oh, yeah. Social media throws another wrench in the works,
Right.
doesn't it? Because you're bombarded with these perfect images.
Right. It's like everyone's presenting the ideal version of themselves.
Yeah, the highlight reel.
Yeah, no wonder there's so much pressure and anxiety around it.
Totally.
Because it's all fake.
Right.
It's not real.
So, yeah, you have to be really careful.
So we got to flex those critical thinking muscles and remember that what we see online
Yeah.
is often just a facade.
It's a carefully constructed facade.
So it all circles back to that theater analogy, right?
Yes.
It's just another stage where we're performing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But here's the good news. Those same principles of nonverbal communication
Yes,
apply online.
they do.
So people might be controlling their words, they might be curating their images,
Right.
but those subtle cues still leak out.
They do. They do.
So we can still read between the lines,
Absolutely.
even in the digital world.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, tell me more.
So you can look at things like response times,
Okay.
emojis they use,
Right.
the kinds of images they share,
Right.
even how they structure their sentences,
Interesting.
all those things.
So it's like becoming a digital detective.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
But here's something interesting. While we've talked about deception and manipulation,
Right.
those nonverbal cues can also be very positive tools. Oh, for sure. Like building trust,
Yes.
expressing empathy,
Absolutely.
strengthening relationships.
Yeah. Think about a warm smile or a gentle touch.
Yeah,
Can really put someone at ease.
totally.
It goes way beyond words.
It's like a nonverbal way of saying, I see you, I care.
It is. It is.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah. So, as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
what's one thing you want our listener to walk away with today?
I think the biggest takeaway is that we're all constantly communicating,
Yes,
whether we realize it or not.
we are.
Our bodies, our faces, our voices, they're always sending out signals.
And all the time.
And those signals can reveal so much about what we're really thinking and feeling.
Absolutely.
So the key is to just become more aware
Yeah.
of those signals, both the ones we're sending and the ones we're receiving.
Yes, yes.
It's like this nonverbal dance happening all around us.
Beautifully put.
And we just need to kind of tune in.
Tune in. Yeah.
This has been an amazing conversation. I feel like I've got a whole new set of lenses to see the world through.
Yeah. It's a new perspective.
And to you listening, thank you for joining us on this fascinating deep dive.
Remember, the key to understanding human behavior
Yes.
lies in paying attention
Yes.
to those subtle cues.
Do those little whispers.
Those whispers that are often hidden in plain sight.
Keep observing, keep questioning, and keep exploring.
Until next time, happy decoder.
It's like we're gaining this superpower, being able to read people.
Right.
But it makes me think about the responsibility that comes with it.
Yeah.
Just because we can
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean we should, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not about using this knowledge to manipulate or exploit people.
Right. It's like any tool or skill,
Yeah.
it can be used for good or for bad.
Right.
So the goal here is not to become some master manipulator.
Right.
It's to use this understanding to build stronger relationships.
It's about connection,
Yeah.
not taking advantage.
Yeah. Exactly. And one of the most rewarding aspects of this whole journey
Okay?
is that it can actually make us more self-aware
Yeah, for sure.
because you start paying attention to your own
Oh, yeah.
nonverbal cues
Yeah.
and you get a clearer picture of how you come across.
Right. It's like holding up a mirror to ourselves.
Exactly.
Sometimes what we see might not be what we expect.
It can be surprising.
Yeah. So it can be a little unnerving,
Yeah,
but ultimately it's empowering
absolutely.
because the more we understand ourselves,
Yeah.
the more authentic we can be.
Yeah. And that makes me think about how the most genuine form of impression management
Mm-hmm.
is actually just being authentic.
Totally. It's like
Yeah.
just be yourself, be real.
Authenticity is magnetic.
Yeah. It really is. It shines through,
It does.
cuts through all the noise and the posturing.
It does. So as we wrap up,
Yeah.
I want to leave our listener with this.
Okay.
Embrace the power of
Uh.
nonverbal communication,
Okay.
but use it wisely. Observe, interpret, but most importantly, connect.
Connect. Yes. Let's use this knowledge to create a world where
Yeah.
We're not just reading each other,
Mm-hmm.
but really seeing and understanding one another.
Beautifully said.
It's been such a pleasure
Yeah, likewise.
exploring all this with you.
Absolutely.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of nonverbal communication.
It is fascinating.
And remember, the deepest truths are often hidden in plain sight.
They are.
It's up to us to learn how to see them.
That's right.
So keep observing, keep questioning, and keep exploring.
Yes.